We are on the 6th floor of the Museum of Modern Art. My name is Paola Antonelli. I'm a senior curator in the Department of Architecture and Design here at MoMA. And together with a quite outstanding curatorial team, I cannot name all the names right now, but you should look them up, I organized the exhibition Items, Is Fashion Modern? This is the first fashion show that MoMA has done in more than 70 years. That means that the last time MoMA tackled fashion and garments was in 1944 when a curator called Bernard Rudowski did an exhibition called Are Clothes Modern? ? And that's where the title of this show, the subtitle of this show comes from. Items consists of 111 items of clothing or things that we can wear on our body that had a strong impact on the world in the past 100 years. As curators of design at MoMA, we believe that it is our task not to tell people what's good and what's bad, but rather help people develop and sharpen their own critical tools. So by coming to this exhibition, people will have this kind of shock of the familiar, right? They will see pieces that they own in the context of a museum exhibition in such an august hall as MoMA. And that kind of moment of recognition will spark a new reflection on the things we wear and also ultimately on the impact that they have on society and also on the environment. There are many museums that do fashion shows and that do a great job at that. We didn't want to repeat what they already do. We didn't want to do a monographic show about the mastery of one designer. We didn't want to talk about one style in a particular moment. That's not our expertise. What we're really good at is design. So we decided to do a design exhibition about fashion in which we would focus on every single item and really look at the way this item was worn, why it was there, what it implies, what the sociological, historical, technological, and also aesthetic context is. This particular platform gives a sense of what it means to do a design show with fashion as the subject. You see, it starts with a piece of high fashion. It's Rei Kawakubo, Comme des Garçons, 1997, a collection called Body Meets Dress, Dress Meets Body. When a journalist from the New York Times, Guy Trebay, came to see the exhibition and noticed that this piece is next to Vivienne Westwood's bum bag and to a fanny pack from MTV from the 1980s, he told me that actually when he interviewed Kawakubo in '97, after this collection had been released, she told him that she had been influenced by kids in the street wearing fanny packs. And you'll see in this platform, you move from this idea to actually maternity, the first snuggly that was designed in the early 1970s, and then a prototype that we commissioned of a young Chinese designer, Wei Hong Chen, of a modular maternity dress, and then examples of maternity clothes from the 1950s. You see, this platform is about bodies changing, bodies not being always perfect, but getting fat, getting thin, getting pregnant, having accidents, just the idea that fashion has to accommodate a changing body and not oblige the body to adapt itself to it. These sculptures that you see here, they're quite gorgeous. They come from the previous MoMA show about fashion, the 1944, Are Clothes Modern? So these beautiful plaster statues that you see here represent what female bodies should have looked like in different moments in history to match the fashion of that time. So this crazy centaur shape is from the middle of the 19th century, and then you move to the Victorian era all the way to the flapper, concave, breastless shape. So it's a way to point out how fashion sometimes does not match reality and human bodies. This platform puts next to each other the bikini and the burkini. One would think that they are polar opposites, but in truth they represent two different examples of attempts to legislate women's bodies in history. Not only that, you can find pictures from the same beaches in South France in which in the 1950s, police were harassing women for wearing too little, and last year they were harassing women on the same beaches for wearing too much. So it's fascinating how modesty, or the sense of what is decent and indecent, is legislated in different ways, in different moments in history and in different locations. In the exhibition, we also address the idea of luxury. You know, what luxury means to us today, the power of brands, the idea of scarcity, whether real or provoked by marketing campaign. And for instance, you see here the Birkin bag. This is the one that really belonged to Jane Birkin, and it's beaten up and it had stickers on. It's like so different from what you would think a knit bag to be. Usually it's kept pristinely and perfectly. We also have a great New York born and bred example in the work of Dapper Dan. In the 1980s, he had a great boutique in Harlem, and he made his own clothes. He was a great tailor and also super elegant person. And he wanted to carry Louis Vuitton and Gucci, but the companies did not really see eye to eye or were not interested, who knows. So he decided to make his own. And with that silk screen over there, he was creating jackets that were absolutely his own tailoring and his own design that carried also those logos. People have no idea of what an excitement it is to work on an exhibition. I like to say that when you're a curator, you're a little bit like a director and a producer of a movie, and MoMA is the studios, but you get to work with an amazing crew of individuals that, well, of course the curators, but then there's the registrar that takes care of every single item that comes into the exhibition. There's the art handlers that set everything up. For this exhibition, we had an incredible master dresser, Tay Smith, with her crew, and also there's the audiovisuals people. And sometimes they're responsible for the real success of certain installations, for instance, the tattoos here. So for this installation, the team and I wanted to render the fact that tattoos have been forever in history and very much part of many cultures, but lately they have become also a fashion for people that do not necessarily belong to cultures that have tattoos as tradition, but want to kind of represent their own personality in different ways. So in order to do so, we wanted to show different tattoos. And what our audiovisuals crew did is they took pictures of tattoos on bodies, and then they remapped them onto mannequins, which, by the way, are real people, not the usual size zeros. This is a special order size 10, so a real woman. They remapped them so that they also can follow the curves of the body. It's a very complex and fascinating work that is completely rendered effortless when you watch it, but in truth is a marvel to reckon with. And we're getting now to a section that we call the power section. Actually, it is a section in which we try to discuss the idea of power. There's the Savile Row suit that we start with, and then there's the unstructured suit that with Armani in the 1980s and Yamamoto. One of the masterpieces in the exhibition is this Zoot suit that we borrowed from the museum in Los Angeles, LACMA, the Burton suit, a Bill Blass, all the way to women's suits that nonetheless still mimic and adapt men's hard power for women. So it really is about this staple of power that has been for many decades the suit, in particular the Savile Row suit. But in this day and age, you should not be sure that the person wearing the Savile Row suit in the room is the tallest poppy. It's not necessarily so. The tallest poppy, in truth, might be wearing this t-shirt. That's really what power is today, the ability to be yourself, no matter the circumstances, and to really project your identity. And it's also good to be able to end the whole exhibition with the white t-shirt. In front of the Savile Row suit, of course, but also by itself, it condenses all the issues that we have tried to discuss in this exhibition. It talks about aesthetics, it talks about ethics, it points back to the raw materials that sometimes are gathered with violence and with injustice, if you think of picking cotton, and it goes on all the way to the end of the life cycle of garments, to the idea of waste that sometimes Western societies saddle Eastern and Southern societies with. So it's a whole world, a whole universe of issues and of possibilities and of responsibilities that people should make as their own when they decide to wear a particular garment. If you want to find out more about the white t-shirt, about the Savile Row suit, about the designers behind the items, and about the circumstances around them, please go on the Coursera platform. We have produced a whole online course that is called Fashion as Design. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the MoMA YouTube channel.